Hi, I am so excited that you're here. And if you are here, I am sure that it is for a reason. And most likely it's because you're feeling very either stuck, you're feeling lost, you're feeling confused. Maybe you're at a crossroads. Maybe you don't even know where to begin looking. Maybe you have been applying for roles. Maybe you've been trying to search for what that next step is. And here's the thing, you probably are feeling like you've done everything right and not understanding why. If you've done all of the right things, you got the degree, you went through the career path, or maybe your path was non-linear, but you did find your way into a career path that you thought was the right path for you to pursue. But now you're in a place where you have been in the workforce for some time and you're feeling drained. You're feeling like this can't just be what it is going to be. There has to be more to what this is. This whole mentality of you put your head down, work hard, the work's going to show for itself. You're probably not feeling that right now. And so, most likely, what's happening is that you have outgrown the script that you were handed. And I can say firsthand, just from being in that space, I very much felt that way in my own career, and there have been others along that journey as well. And so you are exactly where you need to be. We are going to talk about all of this. And if you don't know me, I do want to just take one moment to say hello and introduce myself. So, my name is Erica Rivera. You've probably stumbled across my page either through my content that I have created. Maybe someone has referred you my way, but I want to say welcome. I am a millennial who followed all of the rules. I was told you have to work hard, you have to stay with the same company, you have to follow this path and that path. And there was a point in my career where I felt very stuck. I felt like I didn't know what was next for my life, but I also felt that at that stage where I was at in my career, I could not keep doing what I was doing. I felt miserable in what I was doing, and I couldn't understand why. I had done all of the things that everyone told me to do, but here I was feeling very uncertain and feeling like there was not another way. And so I will say that I did find my way into tech. So I was working in the hospitality industry. I worked my way up the ladder. I got promoted multiple times and I was burned out. So at that stage, I didn't know what I didn't know and I stumbled into tech. But had I known what I know now and what I can share now, that pathway would have been so much easier. But I made it. And then from there, I went to big tech and I landed at Google. I went at Indeed at first in my first initial pivot. And here's the thing, I did not have the prestige degree, I didn't have the connections, but I found my pathway in. And after I got laid off from Google at the end of 2023, I bet on myself. And at that stage in my career, I was ready to make the decision to go all in, to support others through their journey, because the whole idea that we were taught, you go to college, you select your career, you work with a company, maybe two, you climb the corporate ladder, and that is it. You don't ruffle feathers, you don't make too many moves, you stay loyal. That whole mentality, that is outdated. A lot of people now, and especially in today's job market, and as we're going to continue to see the job market unfold, but just not even the job market, just people in general are starting to wake up and they're starting to see that there is another way. There isn't just one set path, but what it really boils down to is what is it that you want for your life? Understanding what is available to you and creating that pathway forward. And so now that is exactly what I teach. I help professionals all over the globe pivot with power and not permission, because we deserve to be in spaces, be in places where we are thriving, not just surviving. And so, with that being said, I have coached hundreds of people at this stage in my career. I have been featured in places like USA Today as a top career coach to follow. I have the receipts. I'm an ex-recruiter from Google and Indeed. So if you need to know about the job market and what's going on, if you need to understand what needs to happen for you to break in, I got you. I am here to help you go along this journey. I am also a trusted advisor with Glassdoor platform, and they bring me in as an expert in the field to support them. And then I am certified as a professional coach and resume writer, and I have been featured in other news outlets as well because I have been recognized as someone who can help and support people pivot in their careers. And I share all of that with you because with all of these receipts that I have, that's great. But my passion really is for our generation. It's for the ones that have been taught that there is one pathway and that is what you stick to. It's taught that you put your head down, you work hard, and that is it. You will get noticed. No, that is not how things work. And so I'm very passionate about empowering people and really helping them understand and see their power, their worth, and see how many different pathways may be available to them, but narrow that down and distill that down into a clear direction. And that is exactly what I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're here today for, because you were trying to figure out what is next, but not just what is next because it's comfortable, because you can go and get that next job, I'm sure, with the career and experience that you have. But what is next because you know that that pathway that you're going down is the right one for you. And that is where I come into play. And that is my hope and my mission that I really embody, is to help millennials that are in their 30s and their 40s who were sold a dream. We were told, do the right thing. But then we did the right thing. And here we are feeling stuck. And it's time to reclaim your career. It's time to reclaim your power. But the big thing is you don't have to start over in order to do that. And that is exactly the mission that my team and I embody here. And so there are practical strategies, because I'm a firm believer in being able to have clarity, but clarity is one part of it. You can have clarity, and that is great because you have direction. But on the other side of it, you need to execute. And because the execution, the steps, the actions are going to actually help you get to where you're trying to go. And that is exactly what we teach here. That is my mission in life, is to really uplift and support our generation, the millennials who were taught and sold the dream, but now are trying to figure out what is their pathway forward. What is your pathway forward? And so I'm very honored that you're here, because my goal is to really help you see that there is a way. And with that, again, I've helped hundreds of millennials at this stage rebuild their careers. You get into the grind, into the hustle, you get into what is comfortable and what you know, and then you find out like this is not feeling right anymore. And it's because, and the goal here is to give you that clarity so you can move forward and be able to take those next steps with confidence. And so you might be feeling like you have done the work, but you can't explain it in a way that it lands. Or you may not be confused, but maybe you're just exhausted. And right now, clarity feels like a luxury because you're just trying to survive. You keep applying, and maybe you're applying to roles that you don't actually want because you don't know what else is possible. And how can you apply for other roles outside of what you know because you don't know what you don't know? And so you're stuck in that cycle. And you know that you're capable of more. But the strategy right now isn't matching the season that you're in. And the last one is a big one. You're afraid to make a move because it is terrifying, because you feel like you are starting over. And because you feel like you're starting over and that fear of the unknown, you stay stuck in this cycle, although you know that you are in a space and a place where it is no longer serving you. And so if that sounds like you, let's keep moving and let's keep talking, because here is what I also have learned through coaching as many people as I have, is that when you don't have the right strategy, it doesn't just stall your search. It chips away at who you are. you get to a certain point where you look up and you don't even recognize the person that you've become. And with that, what this leads to is that you find yourself in a job search that drags on, even though you know that you're qualified. You are constantly second guessing yourself, whether it be in your current or your past choices. You have a loss of energy, focus, and confidence, and you start dimming your own light. And you can't see the power and really, truly who you are and what you bring. And then you're stuck in this loop of burnout, applied, ghosted, burnout again. And that, my friends, is being in survival mode. And at that stage, clarity does not feel empowering. It feels impossible. And so if this resonates with you, I just encourage you to lean in, because this is where you are going to start to see that we go through these patterns, but once you start to name it and own that space that you are in, and to stand face to face and honor where you are right now, then you can start to make the choices to really catapult yourself forward and out of this place of feeling stuck and into a new space. But what happens is most people default to applying to everything just in case. So they don't really streamline. They don't get clear on what is it that they should be targeting, knowing their skills, knowing their experience, knowing their transferable skills. They apply to anything and everything because they're trying to cast a wide net, and they're assuming that something's got to stick, right? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and let's see what sticks. Typically, there's not much. They're waiting for the right posting to show up. So you want to apply. You want to get out of where you are right now. You are maybe seeing the right roles for you, but you are stuck in this state of, well, I'm just going to wait for the right posting to show up. But you've seen that right posting probably at least a handful of times, but you have yet to apply. Or maybe you are sliding into inboxes and maybe you are applying and you're reaching out, but there isn't any strategy that you're implementing there. And so you're not getting any responses back. And so you're frustrated. And then that takes a toll on your confidence. And then you maybe even rewriting your resume for roles that you don't even want. And maybe that then you're hoping something sticks before you run out of energy. Just think about that. And it's not that you're bad at job searching. It's not that you're bad at being able to identify what type of career pathways might be good for you. You weren't taught how to position yourself. And so you're stuck in this mindset of survival, regardless of whether you've been strong in previous roles. You probably are a high achiever. You've probably achieved all of these milestones. But in this specific instance, in this specific area of your life, as it pertains to the career change that you're trying to make, you are stuck in a mode of survival. And that is exactly what we want to focus on, because we want to see and show you that it is not you. It is the system. You were taught to be loyal, but not visible. You were taught to keep your head down, not to position yourself. That system, it was never built for you and to get you to be free. But you do have two choices here. And you can do one of two things. And again, we all have a choice. One is that you could keep playing by the rules that weren't made for you. The other is that you can learn how to break them down with intention. And here is why all of this matters. And I think it's really important to recognize this because, again, we're in a much different market than we have been in past years. But I also think it's important, especially for us as millennials, to really understand a few key points. One, again, you're not alone. 61% of millennials are experiencing burnout. A lot of people are considering job change, millennials specifically. Only 34% of millennials are actually satisfied with the work-life balance. 57.65% are planning to make a major career change, and that was as of 2024. And then not just that, but in terms of what's important to millennials, 89% of millennials are stating that having a sense of purpose at work is crucial for their job satisfaction and well-being. But let's get into a couple more stats here. 40 million people were laid off in the US in the last 2 years. What does that tell you about this quote unquote job security? It doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean you can't put yourself into a new environment where you are thriving and where you do find yourself learning, earning, or growing. And that is what I encourage you to think about. But also recognizing that it's equally important to really understand what is going on in the job market and to really take ownership of your career and to really step in your truth and to really lock in, because by 2030, 85% of companies are going to be running with AI integrated teams. The job market is shifting. The way careers and how they are navigated within companies is shifting. So it is important to understand how that impacts you and to empower yourself to make sure that you have the skills and the resources that you need to really make sure that you are taking care of your long-term career growth and trajectory. And that is exactly what we focus on here. And so the last thing I just want to call out is that a lot of millennials now are not necessarily chasing paychecks anymore. They're seeking purpose. They want balance. They want fulfillment. I will tell you myself, I got to a certain point in my career where I didn't want to climb the ladder anymore. That was not my goal. I saw a pathway up, but that was no longer calling to me. And not saying that is your truth, but for a lot of millennials are looking for that balance. And so if maybe you are in the space where you have been taught that you need to climb and climb and climb, but you're really not feeling like that is calling to you, it may just be because your pathway and your truth looks different than what we were taught, what was programmed and instilled in us. And that is okay, because it isn't a right and a wrong. It is, what is your truth? What is your path? How do you define success? And that is what we want to anchor in. And so looking at moving forward here, I talked about the whole concept of job security a second ago and how that really isn't a thing anymore. Like, that really honestly was never a thing. We're just seeing now with all the changes that are going on in society, and we're seeing the fact that companies right now, really, they're going to do what they're going to do. At the end of the day, any company that we work for, at the end of the day, it is going to be about the business. There are going to be people, of course, at the company that care about you, your growth. Maybe you are in environments where that may not be the case, but when it comes to business decisions, at the end of the day, we're going to make business decisions. And when it's time to make cuts, if and when that happens, you want to understand and be ready. And so that is really where investing in yourself, understanding what is going on in the market, understanding your skills and your experience and where you want to go is so important. It is not about loyalty. It is not about your resume. It is not about playing nice anymore and waiting your turn. You have to make your story undeniable. You need to step into your truth and own your SIP. And that is something that you will learn if we join together in this community. SIP is owning your story, your skills, your impact, your positioning. Creating a story that makes you undeniable, that makes you the one for these opportunities that you want to pursue. And learning how to package that so clearly that they cannot ignore but to bring you to the table. That is it. Because you deserve to be at that table. And you need to become that person that really owns their truth and their story. And in owning your truth and your story and learning how to package that and learning how to position that, you're going to see that you will be able to see doors that were not opening for you before. And that is what we want for you. And so looking at moving forward into the market, I talked a moment ago about the market and how it's shifting. You don't need to wait for the market to change. The market's always going to be changing. That is not going to stop. Markets continuously change, and whether it be for positive, for negative, just is. And right now, the shifts that are happening it just is. The market is shifting, and the market isn't waiting for you. The rules have already shifted. We have seen such massive changes, especially in the past few years, with the integration of AI technology. And it no longer is about waiting for you to figure it all out. The more you wait, the more expensive that delay becomes. You don't need more time. You need direction, you need language, and you need a way to move with your power now. With that being said, everything that I know about beating the broken hiring system, because like I said, I broke in. I've been in recruiting. I've worked with hiring managers all over the globe, the US, Europe, Canada, Africa, parts of Asia. I have taken all of these years of experience, and then now with the connections that I have through all of the people that I know, whether they are in recruiting, places of hiring authority, people that are just in the spaces where I have been before that are giving me insights into what is going on and plugging into different areas of the job market. I have built a framework that works even when the market doesn't, because right now for a lot of people, they're saying that the market isn't working for them. But I can tell you that every single week, I am seeing people get hired, offer extended. People are starting their new careers and their new pathways. People are still paving their way. And this isn't just about getting a job. It is about getting clear. It is about leverage. It's about finally taking back your power in a system that was never built for you. And once you see that, and once you own that, and once you believe that, and once you step into that, you are going to get into the places where you're trying to go. And so with that comes the PATH framework. I've built this framework where clarity, reinvention, and execution collide. So what we really do is we break it down step by step. We have perspective, which is really zooming out. Let's take a moment to just take a step back and see, where are we really? Alignment, let's start connecting the dots. Target, you don't need more options. You need the right ones based on you, your design, where you're trying to go. And then harness action. All of those first 3 steps are great, but if we don't actually take the action, we're not going to get there. And so that is where this whole framework comes together to help you build your path forward and to break into that next move, to that next chapter, to whatever that next goal is for you. And as we look at breaking this down a little bit further, because I want to make sure you have a really clear lens on what does this actually mean? What does it look like in practice? How do you actually do this? Because a lot of you are probably skeptical because, there's a lot of information out there. And quite frankly, that information can be overwhelming. So let's break it down step by step. So that perspective, like I said, zooming out, let's name what's no longer working. Let's get really clear on what's draining you versus what's energizing you. Let's take that burnout that you're feeling right now and let's put that in a box and let's leave it over there because we don't have time for that anymore. We are trying to get you back to where you need to be and energized for the next opportunity and where you can thrive. And we want to get really honest about what does success look like for you, because we want to come from a place of, where do you really want to be? Where do you really want to go? Not the okey doke, hey, 10 years ago, this is the path that I built or what I was told that I should be doing. What do you really want? And then we need to identify the gap between where you are and the one that you actually want. You cannot move forward when you're still pretending the old script fits. That is a fact. I've tried it, it doesn't work. And I'm sure you've tried it too, and it doesn't work. And then going a little bit deeper, you can't fix what you're afraid to name. So at the end of this phase, what we want to get really clear on is what is no longer working, what and why have you been tolerating it, where are you burnt out or bored or bitter, where's that coming up in your life, in your career, what actually matters to you now, not what you were told should matter to you. What are the patterns that keep pulling you back into that safe, misaligned role? What you're not available for anymore, and what your next chapter requires. This is not about just, hey, I need a job. If this is for you, hey, I need a job, this is not the right place. This is truly about, I want to understand where I am really at right now, and I'm ready to take control and step into that driver's seat, and I'm ready to own my life and my career because I know I deserve it. That is what this is about. And then we go into the alignment. So rebuilding your career around your energies, your priorities, and your power. This is where we are really going to identify your values and maybe ones that you've outgrown. We want to get clear on the life that you want. So as we look towards the future, now that we're taking a pause to evaluate, where do you really want to go? Where do you really see your life in a few years from now? And you may not have it all figured out, and that's okay. But recognizing that the previous version of what your plans might have been may not align with where you want to go now. And so that is where we want to make sure that we are really aligned on what that is, because you don't need permission to pivot. You need alignment that sticks so you can move forward. And you don't need more options. What you need is a filter. At the end of this phase, what we want to make sure that we're really clear on, and that is what we will focus on, is what paths are actually on the table. Whether that be full-time roles, freelancing roles, consulting, moving global, what that looks like for you. We want to get really clear. How are your values and capacity and priorities fitting into this next opportunity? And that means no guilt around it. Sometimes we feel guilt because we want more, because we want different than what we were shown. This is the space where you let go of that and you put that to rest and you grieve that old person if you need to, that previous version of yourself, that version that no longer is serving you and where you're trying to go now. And then we want to experience how these experiences connect. So if you're pivoting industries or you're trying to build something on your own, how do these experiences that you have connect? We want to get really, really clear on that and that alignment. And then what does success look like for you now? That is it. You define. You get to choose what success looks like, and we're going to really unpack that so you can get clear on what that looks like for you, not because someone else told you, not because you're being influenced by external factors and the environment, but what is it that you want for your life? So we are going to match the move to the life that you want, not the other way around. Once we have that all clear, we're going to go into target. So targeting is really important. So we're going to get out of this whole scroll. We want to get precise. We want to stop applying to everywhere, and we want to really start building in a solid strategy. So this is where we're going to get really clear on what are the roles, the regions, the income range that fit your season. And we're going to build a plan around that. We're going to reverse engineer those roles that are built around your strengths. And we're going to create criteria-driven job search plan for you. So that way you make sure that you are staying aligned with what you truly want to be pursuing. The more clear that you can be, the better decisions, the fewer applications, and the stronger results. And so by the end of this, we're not going to map out your entire life. We're focusing on what in this moment, in terms of the next steps that you're taking, are going to be the right direction for you. So what roles, industries, countries, models fit your goals? And that might be you're creating that opportunity yourself, but you're going to know exactly how to do it. That is part of the plan. Who do you actually need to be in front of? The decision makers. Who needs to see you in order for you to get to where you're trying to go? how to audit your role and make sure that you are staying aligned, or business model if you're choosing that you want to have a pathway for you to build for yourself. Maybe it's both. Maybe you want to find your next role immediately, but the longer term goal is, hey, yes, I'm going into this role to give me the space and give me that comfort of having a steady paycheck, but I know that my goal in terms of longer term as I'm continuing to build is I want to build my own consulting firm, just as an example. You have options. And so we want to make sure that you're really clear on what those targets are. And then we want to make sure that we're leveraging the right parts of your story and how you can use that towards your advantage. So you are not just looking, you are positioning. And that is what we're going to get really clear on and target as part of this step in the process. And then the last is harnessing action, because it's great we do all of those other things and we get you all set and prepared to go. But without action, you're not going anywhere. And you're not here to not go anywhere. You have done such a phenomenal job to where you are today. You have worked really, really hard, and you have built a life based on all of the experience that you have. And now you're choosing for you. And so we want to make sure that all of the planning that we're doing, getting clear, putting these steps and process in place, building the roadmap, that does not stay just in roadmap phase. We get one shot at this. We want to make sure that we're taking that and we're putting it to action. And I am here to make sure that you are putting it into action, because all of the people that are in this community are all individuals that have worked really, really hard in their respective spaces and are really trying to go into this next chapter in their lives where they are building, whether it be their 9 to 5, whether it be they are trying to advance in their career, they're trying to move abroad, they're trying to build for themselves, or they're trying to do a combination of those items. We want to make sure that we're not just creating plans, but we are actually taking action. Action is going to allow you to get across the finish line and into that next chapter. And this is where the I know what I want turns into I am building it. I am doing it. I am there. And so we are going to build your resume, your brand, your LinkedIn, your portfolio, whatever those components are, those elements that are going to get you into the rooms that you need to be, into that next chapter. We're going to build all of that. We're going to build a story that sounds like you for where you're trying to go. We're going to make sure that you are so confident in being able to talk about your experience and being able to pitch that you are going to go in and you're going to know who you are. You are going to remember who you are because you have done the work. And we're going to build a system where you're getting interviews, you're getting offers. If you're doing outreach, because say you are trying to move more into a business model, like you are getting results because you have a system in place. And that is where the action comes in. You're not here just reinventing yourself. You are revealing your leverage and you are using it, because we are here to make sure that you get to where you are trying to go. And then as a result here, the end of this process and in the final the phase here, we're going to build all of your marketing documents. We're going to help you prepare for interviews, negotiations. We're going to make sure that you are going in with clarity, calm, conviction. We're going to make sure you have those strategies in place where you can execute on outreach. We're going to make sure that when those offers come, you're ready to negotiate. If those moves you're trying to make, whether it be in your own lane, you're ready to take action and execute. So we are going to launch and land with a full body yes, because you finally know how to trust yourself again. And maybe you've known how to trust yourself, but you've been so beat down because you've lost so much confidence just because you haven't had the support that you needed, or you've been applying for roles and getting rejected, or you've been what you thought was unclear on what your next steps are, but you just needed time to think, give yourself the space. You are going to move in confidence. And that is what we're going to end with on this phase. And the end result is you getting into the next chapter of where you're trying to go. So that means offers, promotions, moves. That means launching all of it. You are going there. And that is the commitment. The people in this community are here to grow together, but they're also on their individual paths. And ultimately, the goal is to watch everyone rise, because we all have dreams. We have goals that we're trying to obtain. And that is where we lift each other up, but we make sure that we're taking the action to get there. And so here is where the real glow up happens. You can have the strategy, the resume, and all of it, but if your mindset is stuck, your career stays stuck. This is what no one tells you. If you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to pursue it. So it's really right now going to start with you believing, even if it's a mustard seed right now, of belief where you say, I know that this can be possible for me. Because if you don't believe it's possible, you will not commit and you will not pursue it. And if you're operating from survival mode, and you might very well be, but that belief of, I know I can do this, allowing yourself to believe will give you access to the vision that you will need to make your story happen. So if you're exhausted and your confidence takes, though, so does your execution. So here is where Path Forward comes in, because we're not just building assets, we are resetting your identity. This isn't about toxic positivity or manifesting job offers. This is about resetting your mindset, getting clear, building an actionable roadmap, and actually executing, because without action, it will not happen. This is about showing up like the person that you know belongs in that room. And I know belongs in that room. And everyone else that is in this community knows belongs in that room. Because that changes everything. And it's everything from your resume to your LinkedIn to how you show up in interviews to how you show up in pitch, networking conversations, to the decisions that you're making, whether you actually make the decision and you commit and you do it. This is where Path comes in. Path Forward is designed to make sure that you are getting to where you are trying to go. Now that you've had a chance to really understand what all of this entails, I will say that for me, because I have personally, like I said, I've been here. I have been in that place of being stuck. I have been in that place of second guessing myself. I have been in that place where I didn't think it was possible for me. But because I have been able to continuously give myself the evidence that it is possible, and because I have been able to continuously now help others do the same, I am so tired of watching brilliant people, brilliant millennials specifically, shrink themselves because they were never taught how to navigate the job market that was never designed and built for us. Again, I've told you this multiple times, but I want this to sink. I really want this to resonate. We were told, work hard, stay loyal, get the degree, you're going to be fine, right? You're going to be fine. But instead, what's happening? We're getting laid off, burned out, boxed in, and blaming ourselves when the system failed, because the system wasn't designed for us in the first place. You're not the problem. You are outgrowing the script and probably have already outgrown the script that you were handed. And it is time to build your own playbook. It is time to empower yourself with the tools to get to the careers that you want, to the milestones that you're trying to achieve. And that is what we do inside Path Forward. And what I'll just leave you with here is that I didn't just build a program. I built the thing that I wished existed when I was burnt out, when I was overlooked, when I was ready to burn the whole damn script and say, I deserve to own my space. Because again, it's not just about landing a job. It's reclaiming your time, your energy, your power. It is not time to play small anymore. It is not time to shrink into broken systems that are not designed for you. I teach millennial professionals how to pivot with clarity, reposition with authority, and build careers that work for the life that they actually want. Not the one that they settled for. Not the one that you're settling for. And with that being said, the Path Forward Accelerator, it's a career reset button. This is a private coaching experience for millennials who are burned out by broken systems. They're ready to pivot or to reinvent. They want real clarity, real movement in the next 3 to 6 months. Whether you're shifting careers, you're starting your own thing, or you're planning your exit strategy, this is where clarity, reinvention, and execution collide. When real shifts happen, we see real wins. As I told you before, over 500 professionals have used my method. They have landed offers that actually align, launched consulting businesses, made bold moves, including moving abroad, and they're starting to feel like themselves, and they do feel like themselves again. These are not surface level success stories. And this is where I invite you to own and step into your truth and say, I know I deserve that for me too. You're next. You did not come this far to only come this far. So if you are very much considering path forward, I want you to understand how we actually work together. In the method, we go from clarity to build. And every step of the way, you have support. You have a 6-week personalized roadmap to close gaps and to start making real progress. But the program itself is 3 months. Within that first 6 weeks, we get really clear, really dialed in, really making sure that we are building. So when you launch, you are ready to go. And 6 weeks is the max. Most people start making their moves 3 to 4 weeks in. We can move this process along, but we want to make sure that we're doing so in a way that you are giving yourself the space and the grace and the time to really be intentional about the move that you're making before you go out there and you start executing. You'll have unlimited feedback opportunities. You have access to me through Slack channel. And part of what this includes is as you go through this process, you're going to have detailed and unlimited feedback on your materials, on your strategy, on your outreach. You're going to have access to a high caliber and engaged community for ongoing momentum, because the Pathfinders are here together to lift each other up. So the community is there to be able to bounce ideas off of, to be able to see the wins of others. So if you're feeling in your own space where you're getting in your head, you know, and you can see that someone else is already on their path, and it'll give you that motivation for you to keep going. And that is what we build here in the community. And we want to make sure that you have the support that you need. And then I just want to call out too that this isn't for everyone, and that is okay. I want to be very transparent because I want to really make sure that the people that are ready and that really resonate have the opportunity to be in this community and in this space. But this is not going to be for you if you're still waiting for the perfect time. This is just not it. It doesn't exist, but I'm going to tell you, if this is where your mind is at and you're like, I think I'm still going to wait for the right time, this is not the right place for you. If you're stuck in that learning mode, but you are avoiding the uncomfortable parts of action, so you're getting information, great. But that information, if you keep gathering information without actually taking action, that's not going to serve you. And if that is the place that you're in where you feel that you need to continue gathering information, hey, I see you, I respect you, but this is not the space for you, at least not right now. You want the results, but you don't want to do the reflection, the realignment work. This is not for you, because a lot of y'all are here because you are feeling burnt out, you are feeling stuck. And in those moments, in those periods of our lives, it is so critical and important to take a moment to pause and breathe. And if you don't do that for yourself, you are not going to get the results that you're looking for. So if you are just looking at strictly jumping in, hey, I need a resume and LinkedIn, no, this is not the space for you. And again, that doesn't mean it can't be, but right now, this is not the space. I'm really being very intentional about the community that we have, what we provide, and how we support people. And the last, if you're hoping on getting clarity, and that clarity is just going to appear, instead of you choosing to put in the work to create it, this is not the space for you. I say with this with the utmost love, because I genuinely want everyone to succeed. I genuinely want everyone to be the best versions of themselves, to reach all of their goals. But I don't want to put you in a position where you are stuck in this loop and then you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So if you are in these places and you're not ready to put in the work, to take the action, to do something different that is going to change your life, this is not for you right now. And so if you are ready, though, to move differently, I've got you. And then if that is you, I am excited for you. But I do want to call out, like, it is not free. And here's why it's not free. If you're trying to change behavior, to do something different, to change the trajectory of your life, that requires skin in the game. So there is research that shows that people follow through when they're invested in the outcome. So free advice often gets ignored, but when you have to invest in creating a new chapter in your life, that investment creates commitment, and that commitment drives results. This is high touch support. So you are going to have access to expert level guidance. This is not generic tips that you're getting. This is the kind of support that is going to take a lot of energy and time and experience, and we reserve it for those who are ready to apply. So again, a lot of hard work, a lot of energy, years of experience are in this program. And then we also protect the integrity of the community. So this is a focused and very much intentional space. And we can't uphold that if it's free for everyone. Every member is vetted to ensure that the alignment, effort, and mutual respect is there. And then the other couple of items here is free keeps you passive mode. This program is built for action. So if you've been trying to figure it out for months and you already know that the information isn't just enough, transformation comes from structure, accountability, and implementation. And then I want to just put this into your mind. The cost of staying stuck is already adding up. If you're underpaid, if you're unhappy, if you're unsure, every single week that you delay is costing you. And so the question is, how long do you want to continue going that route before you decide to do something different? But this is exactly why this program comes with a cost and an investment, because we really want to make sure that if you're here, you want to be here, you're committed, and you are going to make that change for your life. And then here's what most people don't realize. Like, you don't lose time by learning. Every week that you stay stuck, this is what it's costing, and you don't realize what it's costing you. So let's look at if your goal is $250K, and we take that target salary and we divide it by 52 weeks. That's $4,800 per week that it is costing you having an ineffective solution. Even if it's $100K, you're losing $1,900 per week with an ineffective solution. The longer you wait to get clear, aligned, and strategic, the more expensive it gets. The question is, when are you going to start getting a return on that cost? And then energy, most people don't realize, is currency too. Being drained every day, being misaligned, that is costing you your time, your health, your wealth, not just professionally, but personally. So when you're thinking about, should I invest? I'm afraid to invest. I don't know if I can. Take a look at this and let this really sink in. And Path Forward is for you if you've hit a wall in your career and you know it. You're smart, you're capable, you have the years of experience, but all of a sudden, you know you're climbing up the wrong ladder. You're considering a major career pivot, but you don't know what's real, what's risky, and what's actually possible. And you know you want the support, and you want support without the sugarcoating. You want someone that can give you the love that you need, that can be real with you, but that can actually give you the tools and the resources and these steps to get to where you're trying to go. So that is who this is for. And then we have our values. Like, we as a community, we're not pretending that we're fine. We're not following generic advice. We care about freedom, not just job titles. We don't build alone. We've outgrown old definitions, and we're here to take our power back. That is the truth that we stand in this community. And so if this is resonating with you, I just encourage you to apply below. This is a selective invite program only. So this is not some big mass course. If you are accepted, what will happen from here is that you are going to book a career strategy call session directly with me. I will be the one to talk to you. We want to discuss in that call, and I want to understand, what are your goals? What's getting in your way? I want to make sure that this program is the right fit for you. And if all of that lines up, we will welcome you into the community, and we're excited to have you. The last couple of notes that I'll make is that Again, we can't help everyone, and we only run this video when we're looking for a small group of 10 to 20 people, new members that are motivated, they're coachable, they're ready to hit the ground running to transition to their dream career. If that is you, go ahead and click the button below to apply and fill out an application. It is 100% risk-free. And as you're deciding whether or not you should move forward, I will just leave you with a few questions. How many more times are you going to say no to yourself? By staying in the wrong role, shrinking your goals, waiting for the right time that never comes. This is not just a program, this is meant to be a turning point for you. I pulled this quote because I'm big on quotes, but this really resonated with me at the time that I was really needing this at this stage in my life. We can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. So if you are doing the same actions over and over again, you can't step into who you need to be, who you know you can be, who you deserve to be by doing the same thing over and over again. And I don't know if you've been looking for a sign, but if you have been looking for a sign, let this be it. Imagine that you're waking up and you're not dreading your calendar. You're not bracing yourself for the next layoff. You're not asking, is this really all that there is? Because one day you stopped surviving and you chose to build. You got clear, you got serious, and you finally said, I want more, and I'm not afraid to go out there and get it. We cannot go back if there's one thing that I have learned, especially over the last several years and losing my mom, is that we can't go back for a redo. This is the life that we have. You deserve to step into the life that you deserve. You deserve to step into the life where you are thriving. I just want to leave you with a few introductions to some of the people that have been in this community and through this program. And so if you're still questioning, is this for me? Can I do this? Is there a path for me? Let me introduce you to Nicole. Nicole came to the program looking for the opportunity to pivot in her career. She was told by many people that she wasn't going to be able to break into project management because of the job market. And with working with us and being part of the P.A.T.H program, in 52 days, she was able to make not only a pivot into into a project manager role, she was able to pivot into a senior project management role. And that is the power of P.A.T.H. And that was because she recognized and owned her truth, her power, her story, and did the strategies that we discussed as part of the group, a part of the program, and allow her to land her new role in 52 days. Then we have Sarah. I love Sarah. Sarah was having a hard time. She, for whatever reason, her goal was to go to Boeing. She's like, I am going to Boeing. I don't know how I'm going to get there. She tried 4 times, got rejected every single time, but in joining P.A.T.H, she was able to not only land the interview, but land the offer. And now she is not just an account manager. She moved into an enterprise account manager with Boeing, and she landed a 40% pay increase by not just landing her dream role, but with their dream company at a higher pay salary. And we have Portia. Poor Portia. Portia was trying so hard. She did all of the right things. She got the degree, she got the master, she got the certification. She kept getting shut down for the role that she was trying to pivot into, which was a product analyst role. She did all of the right things, you would think, right? But she could not break in. But joining P.A.T.H, it got her out of that place of feeling stuck and that she wasn't cut out for product. We were able to take her skills, her story, and build such a compelling narrative that she was able to land a role as a product analyst, and that is where she is present day. She broke in and she made it, and so this dream that she had that she thought wasn't going to be attainable was very much in reach. She just needed to position herself and her experience in a different way to help employers see that she had the skills, the tools, the resources that they were looking for. And then we have Dragos. So Dragos came to me because he was ready to relocate to Dubai. He was in Canada. And at that time, he did not know how he was going to get over there. So we pulled together strategy through the P.A.T.H program, and we were able to help him successfully identify and target the right agencies for him to connect with, to build the connections with recruiters that had the connections with the companies that he was interested in working for. We were able to map out the strategy for him and positioning where he was then able to not just land the role, but relocate from start to finish within 5.5 months of joining the program. And so now Dragos is the VP of Data and Analytics at Rakbank and is now currently residing in Dubai. And that dream that he had in mind of relocating became his reality. And then we have Daniel. Daniel came to me, this poor guy. Oh my goodness, very much could not break that 55K ceiling. He was like, I have to make more money. He was getting ready. He hasn't gotten married yet, but he this year is getting married. So he was in the process of, he just had proposed to his fiance. They were already going to start planning their wedding. And he was like, I have to make sure I am in a different place because I'm going to be now getting married, joining forces with my fiance. And this right here, this 55K that I'm making is not it. And so he came into P.A.T.H with a very clear goal, but again, had been trying to break in, had been trying to level up and get into a role that allowed him to make more. So he was currently at that stage, a data analyst, and through the P.A.T.H program within 3 months was able to break into a senior data analyst role with an ed tech company, and not just upped his salary a little bit, he tripled his salary. And so he is now ready to be a married man with a new salary and building his new life with his soon-to-be wife. And then we have Tava. So Tava came to P.A.T.H because she was in the state where she had been with the CIA for a really long time and was ready to make a pivot into more of a chief of staff role and really take that more of a strategy lens to her experience in the private sector. And so the P.A.T.H framework, and in her joining, she was able to make that pivot successfully, now within tech, and really leading teams and fully aligned with where she wanted to be. Not least, we have Brigitte. So Brigitte was very much in the state of like, I don't know. She was like, all right, look, here's my thoughts. I want to do project management. I want to do executive assistant. I want to do customer success, and had all of these ideas in her mind, but we had to get her really clear and dialed in and locked in on what do you really want? And what she really wanted was she wanted flexibility. She wanted to be in a role where she was making well over 6 figures, where she had a remote opportunity, where she was feeling that she could really own the space that she was in. So we were able to not just get her into a new role, we got her into a new role, found out very quickly that that role did not align. So again, this is not where we settle because we have already been there and we've done that. So the moment those flags came up, back to the interview slate. So started interviewing again. And then 37 days after, landed her dream role, now in full alignment, having unlimited PTO, having that remote opportunity, being well above the 6-figure mark, and she is living her best life. And good for her because she deserves it, and she owned that space. She could have stayed in that initial offer that she got in a role that she knew was not aligned for her, but she chose to say, no, I have already been in that situation. This is not going to be my truth. And what she did was she went back out there and she found her space. Covered a lot today. But if you keep waiting for the perfect time, I will tell you, you are going to blink and another year is going to pass. The jobs change. The market is going to continue shifting. Do you want to stay stuck? Is that going to be your continued truth? Or are you going to decide right now that this ends with you? And if that is so, go ahead and click the link below and apply. And I am super excited to be able to bring you into the community and to see you thrive in the place that you deserve. So, looking forward to chatting with you. Thank you for being in this conversation. And I am hoping that we will be talking very, very soon.